Welcome to the show, everybody. Mark Farzetta here, the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Andrew Painter made his debut yesterday in the Grapefruit League. We'll have that conversation. Vince Quinn stops by the show. Bell and the Birdman podcast. Old friend of mine stops by the program. Talk a little Eagles. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson throws his former defensive coordinator under the bus. Picks him up. Then throws him under again, picks him up once more, throws him under again, and then deletes it. But the internet, as they say, friends, is forever. Oh, my goodness gracious. And the Sixers get a huge win over Miami without Joel Embiid. Go figure. So we'll talk about all that and more in today's Farzy Show. But let's start it off. Above any win, above any play, it's drama that people like talking about. And even the people that hate talking about it love talking about it secretly. They crave it. It's like, I hate the Cowboys, but I still watch them just to see if they lose. You know, that kind of thing. This was amazing. I got to be honest with you, folks. When I first saw this yesterday, all right, I dropped little toots off at school. I came home. I was scrolling on the old Twitterverse, and I saw this retweeted, screen grabbed and retweeted by our social media team here at the Farzy Show. Now, for a little behind-the-scenes tour, I don't, ladies and gentlemen, I don't do the social media here. We have a great team of guys that do that. They're awesome and all that stuff. When I saw this, I went, I swear to goodness, I thought it was fake. I went, let me make sure this is, not that I doubted our team, it just seems so far-fetched. In case you didn't see it, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson quoted a tweet from Elliott Shore-Parks where he was talking about Jonathan Gannon on what went wrong in the second half of the Super Bowl. And that's what the tweet says. And he tweets that along with a picture of Jonathan Gannon. CJGJ, CD Deuce, then quotes that tweet and says, "You ain't put us in position to make plays." As if to answer what went wrong in the second half. Well, CJGJ will tell you, you didn't put us in position to make plays in the second. Oh, the outrage. People pissed off. People ecstatic over the idea that a player would say this about a coach, that we all said this about. Oh, CJ, what's GJ? A lot of GJs, JGs, and all that stuff. But what's Gannon going to do with this team? What's Gannon going to do with this secondary? What's Gannon going to do to make second half adjustments? What's he going to do? Make, more importantly, fourth quarter adjustments? He's got to do something. You always got to put your players in a better position to make plays. I know it was Andy Reid's famous cliche right up there with time's yours and all that stuff. But, man, is this true about any good coach or coordinator? You got to put your players in good positions. You got to put your players in positions to make plays. And according to CD Deuce, who is staying here in Philadelphia most likely on a big money deal to play safety, to play nickel, to play pass rusher, to play basically every bit of a Malcolm Jenkins role that you could ask, you didn't put us in good position to make plays. That's what he says is the problem. Now, some people are outraged that a player would dare come out and throw a coach under the bus. What would happen if a coach did that after the game? What would happen if Jonathan Gannon was at the podium and he was like, well, you know, I had some great plays drawn up there in the second half, but you know who didn't execute them? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Now, what an idiot. You know, like all the rage in the world. Is it good for a team if this happens? It's weird that it's happening with him on the way out. I got to say, I don't like that. I like people addressing the problems as they are problems. I would assume that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is the guy in the locker room that will actually step up and say something. If he's willing to talk trash to just about anybody, if he's talking trash to Nick Sirianni at practice, I would assume in a locker room, I would assume in a big game, if he feels like the defense isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, I don't think he's the type of guy to keep a cork in it. I think he's the type of guy to actually let it flow, man, and just let his opinions be heard. And this isn't necessarily uncommon. One of the biggest things that really sticks out to me in the Eagles, if you remember going back to Kerry Williams, that defensive back, right, under the Chip Kelly era, he was in that snow globe game telling Chip Kelly, you got to send your receivers deep because corners can't plant and turn. Chip Kelly ended up doing it. They ended up scoring some touchdowns in that game. And it just so happened LaShawn McCoy went off for a huge game as well, just a footnote. But sometimes coaches actually listen to their players. And if Chip Kelly could do it, I think anybody could do it. And if anybody's going to speak out, not just Kerry Williams back in the day, but I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to speak up as well. So my only thought when I saw it, other than, is this real? This isn't just somebody messing with people on the old internet. My only thing when I saw it, other than is it real, is I hope he said something during the game. And if Gannon didn't either take that advice, then that's on. Either didn't take that advice or didn't confer with his players or his position coaches. Well, then, yeah, shame on him. I mean, he did admit that there were some things that he didn't like his own calls, so he threw himself under the bus. Jonathan Gannon did, which is always good. Take responsibility for yourself. But is it good that a player goes out there and says what he said? Well, I always want honesty. I feel like in a world where we need to protect ourselves from the complete, utter piles of BS that are out there, I always like honesty. I always like to know what's real. And according to this player, he doesn't feel that his coach put him in proper positions or his defense in proper positions to make plays or his teammates in proper position to make plays. And from watching the second half of that Super Bowl, I kind of agree. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, by the way, let's not forget this. Jonathan Gannon got roasted and is still getting roasted and will forever be roasted for the second half of football by his defense against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense led by Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. He got out-coached. My friend Derek Gunn and co-host for pregame on Jacob Media. You know what he said? Chess versus checkers. All right. And Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy were the chess version of that. All right. Just to explain that. But he will forever be vilified for how his defense played in the second half. Jonathan Gannon will always be vilified. He would be roasted even more if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson didn't come up and make two big plays in that second half that he made. One on the inside run by Panchero, and then the other one on the outside run by Pacheco. Why can I never say his name right? The one on the outside run by Pacheco. If he doesn't make those plays, then you're looking at not even a close game with the Eagles and Chiefs. Not even a close game. And, Jonathan Gannon got blown out. Oh, what was he doing in that second half? We were still asking those questions, but we'd be asking with even more venom if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson didn't step up and make those plays. So it's a wild thing that he actually went out there and did it. I love the honesty. I always love the honesty when it comes to players and coaches. Players aren't held to the same standard that coaches are. Coaches are supposed to be methodical. Players are supposed to be a little bit more emotional. And I guess when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson saw that, he took the opportunity to throw his former defensive coordinator under the bus, under a tractor trailer, waited at it was no bueno. It was no bueno. But I do appreciate the honesty, as per usual. Let's move on to something a little bit more uplifting, okay? Andrew Painter made his debut yesterday in spring training for the Phillies. Went out there, and I can't say dazzled because the box score wasn't what it should have been, but in terms of a guy making his debut, getting this courtesy of Alex Coffey of Inquirer.com, look at those numbers. Pitch velocity for Andrew Painter, 99 miles per hour, 98.9 miles per hour, 98 miles per hour, 97.8, 97.8. Let me do some high-tech stuff here for the people on the podcast. I'm going to take away our scroll for a second. Nope, that was the end of it right there. Absolutely fireballing yesterday on the mound. When it comes to the final box score for him, went 2 innings. He did give up 3 hits. He did allow 1 earned run. He didn't walk anybody, though one of his critiques in this game was staying in the strike zone, which I thought was interesting. But overall, pitched himself a pretty decent 2 innings in terms of just seeing the ball explode out of his hand and being able to have a little bit of control there when we were talking about him as a guy just making his debut. Now, that's what Andrew Painter did yesterday on the mound. Here is Andrew Painter, courtesy of Scott Lauber of Inky.com on his Grapefruit League debut.
Just going out there, working on stuff. Obviously, it's early. Felt satisfied with the cutters that I threw. It was pretty fastball heavy today. Would have liked to be in the zone a little more, and that's something that I'll build off of going into next start. But really trying to focus on getting ahead early. I fell behind in a lot of counts, and that's where going to hitters counts and give them a heater, and they're going to hit it.
That was Andrew Painter on his day yesterday. So definitely popping the mitt at a great rate yesterday. Look forward to seeing more of him. For people that didn't see the game, I will say this because it was on MLB.com. What was amazing to me yesterday was seeing his release And there's just certain guys that just have that explosion where the ball just like they open you see their hand open on their release. You see those two fingers on the seam and it's just gone. Like it's similar to when a guy hits a home run in the batter's box. Like when you're watching just the shot of the pitcher throwing and the batter hitting and you see the swing and you go, that's gone. It's like, that ball is popping the mitt at 98, 99 miles per hour. He's tickling 100 when he is letting go of that baseball. It is a sight to see. And I'm not saying it's just an Andrew Painter thing. I'm saying it's a thing from fireballers, from hard throwers, that is just unbelievable. And it's what makes them so damn special. And watching that yesterday, that was pretty incredible. And there was a couple of guys there yesterday on the Twins that were talking about Andrew Painter and his power, and they were talking about his control and just talking about how he's going to have a very bright future. And it was beyond the say a nice thing about a kid. Like I remember Alex Rodriguez facing Aaron Nola, and Alex Rodriguez had wonderful things to say about Aaron Nola, and it was beyond just the niceties. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, oh yeah, he's a great kid, great guy, great career. It was like he was impressed with the stuff that Aaron Nola had. Well, yesterday, a few members of the Twins just in their post-game interviews were just like, yeah, that's the real deal. This isn't just some hype or I'm going to say, well, I actually thought the kid was kind of easy to hit. Like it wasn't that at all. It was very much this kid's got a very, very bright future ahead of him, and the Phillies got something special in Andrew Painter. Let's hope that he puts it together because we've certainly seen our share of athletes in this city that have been extremely talented but have not been able to put it together. Andrew Painter, according to these guys, seems like he's pretty talented and able to put it together. So we'll cross our fingers on that. Also, Brandon Marsh, who actually hit leadoff yesterday for the Phillies, struck out twice. Brandon Marsh snuck into that post-game little soiree there with Andrew Painter and just asked him about the pitch clock. Should be used to the pitch clock if you're coming up for the minor league. So, yeah, but always like when the players are crashing the press conferences. Phillies, they played to a 4-4 tie yesterday against the Minnesota Twins. Derek Hall had a monster home run, dead center field, right in the batter's eye there. So that's nice. Phillies will be back at it today against the Boston Red Sox, and we'll see how they fare in that ball game today. Looking forward to that, of course. Before we get to our friend Vince Quinn, I do want to get to the 76ers game last night. They get the 119-96 victory over the Miami Heat. Here is Tyrese Maxey on a great game played by him and his teammates in a dominant win over Miami.
Their team was focused. I think we were extremely determined to bounce back from the performance that we put on last time we played them. We know we beat ourselves, and we had to come out here and show that tonight.
Good for Tyrese Maxey, ladies and gentlemen. 27 points. James Harden came away with 23. Surprisingly, on a day without Joel Embiid, I thought the ball would be moving around a little bit more. Now you got two players finishing with 20+. Tobias Harris at 18, but only 5 assists last night for James Harden. Here's the headline of the game. The headline of the game last night is the fact that Paul Reed went off. Paul Reed didn't get the start in a game without Joel Embiid. Paul Reed came off the bench, and he came off to the bench to the tune of 14 rebounds and 16 points and was plus 26 on the evening. That's a hell of a come-out game there for Paul Reed. And if we're not doing the Paul Reed victory tour, what the hell are we doing? That was an incredible game by Paul Reed last night. And here's one thing. I'm going to give Doc Rivers credit, all right? Here's what I'm going to do with old Doc Rivers, all right? Doc Rivers did not want Paul Reed on Bam Adebayo. A mismatch happened where they subbed in Bam Adebayo, mismatch, quote-unquote, where they subbed in Bam Adebayo, and Paul Reed was still out there. And after the game, Doc Rivers explained that he just wanted to see how it went. Well, let's see how it goes. Let's see how Paul Reed does with Bam Adebayo. Well, it worked. Paul Reed had himself a night. Offensively speaking, defensively speaking, came up with 2 blocks on the night. And overall, he just had himself a good time against one of the better centers in the NBA, especially defensively in Bam Adebayo. Adebayo still finished with 20 points in the game on 8 of 13 shooting. But in terms of the Sixers' backup center, who most people believe should get the backup minutes above anybody else, he had himself a bit of a statement game. Sixers had a statement game and a bounce back game, as you just heard Tyrese Maxey talk about. But then you also had a bounce back game. You also had a prove it moment for Paul Reed. And hopefully this will be the moment where Doc Rivers says, you know what, you're going to go and get those minutes. And he has earned it. He's been earning it all season long. Now it's time for him to get it. Get those minutes. And I'll cross my fingers that that's actually what happens. But yeah, Sixers 119-96 victory. Nice to see him bounce back after the disappointing loss 2 nights ago. Now they face tonight. They're right back at it in Dallas against the Mavericks. 7:30 start time. TNT will be carrying that game. So we'll see how all that goes tonight. So look forward to watching that game play out. Let me tell you about the great people over there at Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at StevenSinger.com at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, and home of the perfect price. Now, what's the perfect price? Well, other jewelers like to say that they we got the perfect price for it. No, Steven Singer is the perfect price guarantee. While other jewelers are marking things way up, Steven Singer's keeping them right there at the perfect price. You don't have to worry about any type of sale, any type of discount, any type of promo code. Steven Singer Jewelers, you're getting the perfect price each and every day online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, Mally, just real quick, I'll get this in for you. Am I high, or did I just see a ghost walk behind Mark? Little Toots is down here again, guys. Tried to put on her favorite YouTube show, and it's not me. Apparently that didn't work. So good times. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, talk to our friend Vince Quinn about all things Eagles.
Hello?
Rothman Orthopedics guest line, my dear friend from Bell and the Bird podcast. And if you're not following him on social media and all the social media platforms, so do yourself a favor. Follow, hey, it's Vince Quinn. Without the hey.
But you can say, hey, if you want to address me on there and go, hey, it's Vince Quinn. That totally works. I will reply to you.
Bell and the Bourbon podcast, of course, you guys do a wonderful job. You guys have great viewing parties when it comes to all things Eagles, big events, stuff like that. You guys are well-traveled individuals. John Barcher's been on the show, another friend of ours from our WIP days. So you guys make sure you check out Bell and the Bourbon podcast. I do have to say this just because I like to give background when I know guests personally. And Vince, you and I, probably over 10 years at this point, you were on the WIP tailgate team, which is still a great name. I got to give him credit. Great name. And I remember I got to know you a little bit around the station, and then you and I had to take a long drive. I was supposed to speak at, I'm not kidding you, it was like a special needs school, and I had to go speak at that school at a graduation, and you and I swear, it was way out there. It was not like it was like an hour. I feel like we were in the car for 3 hours together.
Well, that's what happens when you're stuck in the car for like 45 minutes with me. It feels yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about. We talked about it was a high school somewhere. I picked you up at your house.
That's right. Oh my God, I am spoiled.
You spoiled me. You bought me a slice of pizza after the fact, so that was beautiful. And then I drove you home. But like all that stuff is so interesting because it's also like I see you as like a spiritual guide for me in the because I mean really like so all the street team stuff and producing and then hosting and right. All different steps of things that we did over the years. It's just like all the stuff that I did for a long time was stuff that you had done like one or two people before me. And I was just like, I'm just basically Farzi, like 10 years old.
Oh, damn you for keeping your hair, you bastard. Jeez, come on. Although, you know what's funny? And I don't bring what is funny? I have been asked 3 different times in the last month whether or not I dye my beard.
Really?
And the answer is an emphatic no. And if you really, I mean, I don't really have like, I don't do too many close-ups on this show, but there's a couple of white hairs there popping in there. And, you know, I got 2 kids now. I'm sure with one, there will be many. When it rains, it pours. When sorrows come, they come not in single spies, but in battalions, my friend.
Well, a question for you. If you could dye your beard any color, what would it be?
Oh, geez. Bright, obnoxious red or orange, like a mix of the both, like a Claude Giroux playoff beard type of dye job. That's what I would have on my face, because it would be, people would be so taken back by it. Like I would just enjoy that for a little bit.
And you would just say, no, it's natural. It's completely
exactly. So I would have to dye my eyebrows too. People would be so blown away by it. But Vincenzo, I'm a little curious here. I'm very curious actually, because people seem to not have a whole bunch of information on Sean Desai, the new defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't have a lot of information on this gentleman, and all they can really tell us is that Vic Fangio this, Vic Fangio that, and then I hear Emmanuel Acho talking about him yesterday about how he's a great teacher and all that. But, like, do you think that this is the guy that is going to get the Eagles to be either more aggressive or overall more clutch defense? How would you describe it? What can you expect from Sean Desai?
Yeah, I mean, clearly they love the ideas of this guy. I mean, more than anything, if whatever he's bringing to the table conceptually, they love what he's doing, because otherwise you promote Denard Wilson. He's a guy that's been in-house, and whatever you want to say with all the Fangio stuff, he's been around that, right? Like, whether he's a disciple of Fangio, I don't know what that means. Did he get a tattoo? Is he in a club? I'm not sure what that means in terms of disciple, but like Desai has been around Fangio as well. And clearly they decided to go out of house and pick the guy that hasn't been here rather than the guy that's been in-house. So whatever Desai is bringing to the table, it's clearly the dynamic they want. And you got to think about the value of the dynamics here, right? I mean, all these guys that are free agents for the Eagles, when you look at the list, they're mostly defensive players of major circumstance. I mean, I was running through the list just like a week ago. I'm like, oh my God, it's all these guys. Okay, how many of these guys played like major snaps? It feels like a lot. 8 of the 11 highest snap count players on the defense are free agents this year. 8 of 11. It's the whole defense is a free agent this year. Like, it's crazy. So they got a guy that has not been here with all of those players as free agents and still said, like, 2 weeks before free agency that you're the guy. So if they don't believe in this guy and whatever he said in those meetings about the scheme and whatever stuff, maybe it's Gannon heartbreak and they want to counter that, or they just really believe what he says. But whatever it is, Howie's in, man. I mean, he's as in as he could possibly be.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree with that portion of it. Now, assuming that Howie brings back half the starters, assuming you're bringing back key guys, like you're obviously bringing back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I think that's obvious, and we'll get to him in a minute and his comment. That's it. We're going to get to that conversation. We're going to get to some other things there, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You're also thinking about bringing back Javon Hargrave, of course, maybe James Bradbury, the heavy hitters. If you assume you're bringing back substantial members of this defense, okay? What does this defensive coordinator need to do? What difference do you need to see from him that you didn't see from Jonathan Gannon?
Well, yeah, what people want is disguising, right? It's looking different. It's not being able to fully guess exactly what this is, and that's what Andy Reid was able to exploit. And on some level, like, the problem for Jonathan Gannon was this roster was too good for him. Like, he had these ideas and a theory of like, all right, well, theoretically, if we just do all this stuff and we play by the principles, everything's good. And for the most part, and this is the thing for Gannon's credit, he was right. He was completely wrong. Was he not completely right? Was this not the team that had the second most sacks in the history of the NFL? Like, they almost passed the 85 Bears. That happened. That happened with him. Like, he deserves credit for those things. But the problem is the roster was so good that it made all that stuff passable. And then he gets to an elite head coach with an elite quarterback and, like, good offensive talent. I wouldn't say it was elite by any stretch, but it was good enough. And he just exploited Gannon and threw all those things to the wayside. So, like, that's the unfortunate thing. So if Desai is going to be able to come in and get even some of these guys back, and they've got some good draft picks and whatever, it can make all this work, then as long as he's disguising some things and keeping people guessing, you don't even need the talent that Gannon had. You can be more successful because you're getting the other team to go into mistakes, and that's what it's all about. It's winning the turnover battle.
Okay. All right. And that all sounds great. I think what a lot of people want to hear is just that. When you're talking about being able to disguise either blitzes or disguise your stunts or disguise the fact that you're going to send 5 and not just 4, not letting the offense know what's coming next. And not in just in that light, but also it can't just be guys like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick getting the vast majority of your sacks. I know they were, or even Brandon Graham, who was another 10-plus sack guy for his first double-digit season, as we know. But that's all edge rushers. I need to see Javon Hargrave more up the middle win those battles. I need to see TJ Edwards get in the mix when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, again, assuming he is signed, which I know a lot of people look at as the number one priority, I need to see him in the backfield as well to be, I hate the buzzword, but it's the buzzword for a reason, aggressive and be deceptive while they're doing it.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about guys being aggressive and making things happen in the pass rush, how about Jordan Davis?
Okay, sure.
For a second. I mean, you draft this guy in the first round. You had Kyle Hamilton there. By the way, highest graded safety in the league this year. I'm just saying for Pro Football Focus. I'll pick and choose with them. But it was there. So you took Jordan Davis, all well and good. He's been a run stopper so far. He got less and less effective as the season went on. They started playing. Linval Joseph signed off the street, and Ndamukong Suh signed off the street. That's when the defense got better. I think all those things matter. And like whether or not they believe in Jordan Davis as a pass rusher and what he can do there, or if he's just a nose, I think that's a huge factor if you're talking about bringing guys back, whether or not they bring back Hargrave. I mean, Hargrave, they nailed that signing. Everybody, as soon as they went super aggressive, the moment he was a free agent, everybody was like, wait, who's this guy? What? He wasn't a popular name. And then what do you know? He's getting double-digit sacks here. So, like, that's what you want. But if I'm worried about anybody, I mean, it'd be good to disguise it. Absolutely. I'm with you. Like, TJ Edwards or Nakobe Dean. Same thing. Nakobe Dean. Blitz Nakobe Dean. Let's see more of that. We didn't see any of him this year. What can he do? Like, it's time for him to shine. So, I want to see that. But also, Jordan Davis, man, let's get him getting some pass pressures as well.
I think of the notable free agents, I think CD Deuce on the defensive side of things, as you alluded to earlier, I think the guys that are coming back, CD Deuce, and by the way, love the nickname, always have to say it. And then I think Javon Hargrave is back, which locks in the idea of Fletcher Cox not coming back. And I think Fletcher Cox' $14 million deal for this season was the thanks for everything, Fletcher Cox. See you later. Good luck to you. I think that was kind of the message from the front office to Fletcher Cox there. And plus, with the way everything kind of shook out at the end of last year, that's all the more reason why I don't think he's back this year. So with that being said, do you think Jordan Davis is the guy to step in and play that Fletcher Cox role in the defensive line?
No, I don't think he is. He's not the same as Fletcher Cox. Like when they got him, that was the idea. And you think of the way the league's trended since Fletcher's gotten into the leagues. It was guys like Geno Atkins back in the day and Aaron Donald and stuff like that. It's been for these players. It's okay. Can you be an elite pass rusher from the defensive tackle position? And that's been a super premium because before you're paying all these hot top-of-the-line contracts to defensive ends, the money tells you that if you can get elite pass rusher at defensive tackle, you were saving money. That's not the case anymore. And for Jordan Davis, what he's doing at this point, I mean, he's never shown that he's an elite pass rusher, really. It was just the idea that he has potential to do it. And as a pro, he hasn't done it. So, like, that's the problem. Can he be Fletcher Cox? Can he be a highly productive defensive tackle? I think he can absolutely do that, but I think he's doing it as a first down and second down guy. Okay,
so here's where I'm at with him. If he can eat up double teams, if he gets double teamed, if he gets that attention, or maybe he gets freed up because Javon Hargrave's going to get double teamed, or maybe you're sending more help out there to the outside with Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, then yes, that's a lot of help for a guy you took in the first round, obviously, in Jordan Davis. But as the grooming process continues, as the maturation process continues, I think that's something that could help him and the Eagles transition away from Fletcher Cox and him seeing more snaps this season.
Yeah, and that's great. Like, get him snaps because it can look different as long as you get the complementary pieces in the right places, right? Like, okay,
sure.
Are you upgrading at linebacker in terms of edge? Like, is Patrick Johnson getting a lot of snaps on the outside? I don't know. Or are they bringing Brandon Graham back? Are they going to invest that pick in a defensive end and get another guy behind Sweat that you can rotate? Because, like, Derek Barnett was technically on this roster, but he got injured week 1 and like everybody forgot he existed.
Right.
So I get it. But like, yeah, it's as long as you're getting the production, generally speaking, and like they're not going to get the way they did last year. As long as you're getting the production somewhere, it's fine. So as long as Davis is playing a role at an elite level, that's all you want. You want elite players and you want to build around it. So it's just, I don't know, the way it's looking now, because there's nobody on the team and half their defensive line is gone. Reddick's got to have 30 sacks to match the production.
I have to tell you this. I was at the, I just moved and I'm out in the burbs, man. I'm living this life in the burbs. It's crazy. And I'm at the Acme. I'll say it. I was at the Acme and I saw this guy in an Eagles jersey and I didn't really think anything of it. And then I realized it was a Derek Barnett jersey. And I'm like, what? I know the suburbs are different, but like, what planet am I on right now? Like, at least give me the Mike Mamula jersey from back in the day. Give me one of those Johns. But you had the old Derek Barnett jersey, which was odd. To move away from the defensive line here for a second there, I do want to talk about Nakobe Dean. And you mentioned his name. Kazir White's a guy that I don't think is coming back either, and I think that's the perfect kind of switcheroo, if you will, with Nakobe Dean and Kazir White for him to maybe play on the outside, a little on the inside as well, but mostly on the outside. Do you see that switch possibly happening this year?
Yeah, Nakobe Dean and Kaiser, Kaiser was a blessing because how many linebackers have they signed that are veterans that come in and do nothing?
Right.
Like, the closest thing they had was Corey Nelson, and that's because they signed him from the Broncos. They cut him, and then he was good for Baltimore that year.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So you take it for what it is. Nakobe Dean, it's time for this guy. He had a mysterious injury that dropped him in the third round that nobody fully understands. I still don't understand how that happened, but he was fine and he played all year. So now that he's here, put him in, see what he can do. Kaiser, go to the market if he gets paid good money. Look, comp picks are money, man. So Kaiser's going to make you money on the open market. Let him go, see what he can do, see what kind of pick he brings you back. You don't have to force it. So that's a good thing. I mean, I guess the question is, would they be willing to pay Kaiser to replace TJ, or will they have Nakobe replace TJ? Because he's really commanding a lot of money, and that's going to be the interesting question. And that's like a decide question: is how much does he value linebacker? Does he want to put into a guy like that? But yeah, Nakobe, put him in, man. I just want to see the kid play.
All right, let's get to the juicy topic. I showed the tweet earlier in the show. It was deleted by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he was talking about his former defensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon. He had talked about, man, you didn't put us in the right position, then deleted the tweet. So good or bad when you see a player in this locker room say that about a now former defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think it's worse for us than it is for the team, right? I mean, they see him every day. He's talking trash in the locker room to his buddies. He's doing it on the field. And a lot of times that kind of quality is endearing. I mean, remember how great it was when Asante Samuel was on the Eagles and you'd see all those clips of him in training camp? He would smack talk everybody. Everybody. And it was fun. And you liked him for it. And there's guys like that bring a sense of camaraderie. So I think there is something to that. And the fact that Gannon's gone, I don't think it makes it so bad. If Gannon was still with the team and he was trashing him, then it's a little bit worse. But I'm not worrying about it. I don't think it's a big deal. I think the team knows who he is. They knew that when they traded for him. This kind of stuff is going to happen. But you know what? If he's getting 6 picks or whatever he did and how few games he played, sign me. Talk all the trash you want. He can, subtweet Sean Desai every single week if he's getting a pick at 1 out of 3 games. Do what you want, man. Yeah.
Exactly. The other thing about this that I find really entertaining is that it's like and you made a great point. We react to it more than I think the team would even react to it. Like Howie or Sirianni might be like, come on, man. But I guarantee you, everyone in that locker room, they've probably shared the same thought. They've probably been like, yeah, that's what he said. They don't say it because they want to maintain status quo. But I guarantee you, when everybody else looked at it, they went, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that's about right." So no issue there, no issue there whatsoever.
It's Chauncey.
It's Chauncey being. It's CD News being CD News, man. Last thing for you, as far as the Eagles go, there, Vince Quinn. When it comes to Jalen Hurts' contract, I think we can all expect the at least 48, 47 million to the 52, 53 million, whatever it might be. How confident are you that whatever this deal is that gets done here? First of all, let me ask you this. What do you think the deal is, money-wise, annual salary-wise? And then do you have confidence in Howie Roseman then to create the space that's needed to sustain a winner, not just a quarterback?
Oh, yeah, I definitely believe in Howie to sustain the space, which I think is first and foremost because Howie's a genius, man. I know people hate him and they think he's a nerd and he's not a football guy and all this stuff. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows the trends. He sets the trends and everybody hires his people. I think that's the number. look at last offseason, how many people from this front office got hired to other gigs as GMs and associate GMs or whatever in all these other cities.
Yeah.
They know that Howie's the guy and he gets it. So I think he totally understands what he's getting into. He had a great quote in the training at the combine about Jalen and finding the way to get peace around him. So I think he'll figure it out. I think what that looks like is somewhere in the ballpark of $45 million a year.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's 45 to 47. But here's what I'll say that makes it a little interesting. Normally with a quarterback, you get like a 5-year deal, and that 4th year is junk. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 6-year deal. It's a little bit longer than normal. You stretch it a little further. Your guarantees, you can offset that all early, and then you can have more flexibility later. So he gets injured or whatever it is down the line, you can get out of it. But yeah, I would think he's making at least $45 million a year, and he should.
All right, so 30 to 31. All right, I can party with that. I think he gonna make bank though, my friend. I think we're talking more of the Aaron Rodgers vicinity than we're talking about, let's say, Kyler Murray, for instance. So yeah, I think you're in the ballpark. I think he does get closer to that 50 million, though. I will say that much. Vince, it's your first time here on the Farzy Show, which I take obviously 100% of the blame for. It's been far too long. We've waited here. Oh, and I did shout you out. What was it, 2 weeks ago, when our friend Thomas Peterson was in town, and the three of us got together. We had some drinks, we had some lunch, we had a little espresso over there at my favorite spot, Grand Cafe L'Aquila, and then we topped it off with a nice little hit at Oscars, too, which is like my favorite dive bar ever in the history of dive bars. So we had ourselves a time.
We did. It was good to see you. It was good to have beers and just catch up. It's been a while. And like, I do think it's important to say that once you found out I lived in your neighborhood, you moved. So I do want to stress that.
That's true. I never even thought about that because I bumped
the store when I moved in, and then a month. The next time I see you, you're gone. So you tell me what that is.
Oh my God, that's so true. I bumped into you outside the liquor store. Obviously, whatever. You and your lovely lady. And we gotta get together. I was moved. I was gone. I don't even know if we even talked about moving yet, whenever that was. But anyway, that is hilarious. I never put that together. I am an idiot. Anyway,
well, I apologize for dropping your property value. But anyway,
Vincenzo, first time guest of the Farzy Show. Are you ready to take the Farzy 5, my dear friend?
Yes, hit me with it.
Let's bring in the band. Hold on a second. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Ooh.
Awesome. The Bourbon Podcast. Best job before you were in the media?
I was technically installing security systems in parking garages for a summer, and I lived at my friend's house while I was doing it because I was working for his dad. I installed one system. He gave me probably, 500 beers that summer. Best job, best trade-off. You can't match that.
Were you paid in cash and money for this, or just beer?
I was paid for cash for the job, and then I just drank at his house all the time all summer. So yeah, that was the best gig I've ever had.
There you go. All right. On that note, go-to fast food place.
Wendy's. Wendy's, I would say, out of all the places. Oh, Junior Bacon Cheeseburger for like $1.89, I'll say, is such a connoisseur.
Yeah.
You can't beat that value, man. That's the number one. Super easy. Usually gets the order right. Wendy's.
The junior bacon cheeseburger. The junior.
Yes, I've put on some weight, Mark, and I need to be very conscious.
No, hold on, because that's exactly where I'm going with it. Because I literally don't do the Baconator. I do the son of the Baconator because I'm a health nut, I mean.
Diet Coke, Mark. Come on. It's
But you have basically had a salad. If you just get the junior bacon,
yeah, dude.
One step ahead.
You can't match that value. It's
one step ahead. That's brilliant.
Best item.
Favorite city to travel to?
So I love Nashville. I've been there a lot. My brother was in law school down there. I won't shout out the school because it makes him look a lot smarter than me, and he is. But it's a nice school down there. I went down there a lot. Great scene, party time, bachelor parties. Whatever reason I've been down there, I've always enjoyed it. Great food, great people. Nashville's awesome. Nashville
is where I got the weirdest look for the way I talk.
Really?
And I don't even think I have like a crazy accent. But they were like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Huh? Can I just get some bacon and eggs?" Anyway, swear to it was like my cousin Vinny. Anyway, okay. Now you have a lovely lady, lovely. But if you didn't, what's a first date deal breaker? What's a first date deal breaker, Vince?
All right, super religious. super religious.
Oh,
I grew up in a very Catholic household.
Amen.
If I was and I've been on dates with people, this has happened. So I mean, it's a factual deal breaker. It's like I would go out with somebody and they'd have like the cross on the rearview mirror, and they're like, "Yeah, so I go to church every Sunday," and I was like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna happen. This is."
I don't fault you. I don't fault you. It can be a little intimidating when they're just bringing in that higher power all the time, man. I'm just telling you. Yeah, I don't disagree. My wife is, I would call her Catholic light. All right, she's not like a stout beer of Catholicism, which I appreciate. Anyway, but me, I grew up definitely like you, stout. We had the stout lager, or not stout lager, but we had the stout beverage. Anyway, last thing before we go down.
Anyway,
no one said religion. That's great. All right, next thing. You're a great guy. I've known you for a long time. But what makes you beep your horn in traffic, Vincenzo Quinn?
it's just people that are looking at their phone when the light changes. That's like, look up. Look up. I get if you're going to check something real quick, but you have to have the understanding of I'm in a red light. There's only so much time on this light. It's time for me to go sooner rather than later. And when the light's red for, or it's green for 2 seconds, I'm honking. Like, I'm quick to honk on that. Go.
Good for you. You know what? A lot of people have said that, and that's a great one. We know what's starting to get my goat a little bit more these days?
What?
Turn signals. I feel like since the pandemic, it has been an epidemic of no more turn signals. I just can't believe it. It's redonkulous, my friend. It's redonkulous.
It's terrible.
We're living in a society. Guys, you want to? Very nice. They just like that. Just like that. His name's Vince Quinn. Make sure you guys check him out on all his social media platforms, of course, including especially Bell and the Birdman podcast. It is a phenomenal podcast with another friend of the show, John Barchard. Where did you go? There you are. Boom. All right. There you can follow Vince Quinn at It's Vince Quinn. That's 2 N's in Quinn. And yes, poop Tom Brady, poop the Patriots, and all that stuff. As the helmet does.
That. So that's where that comes from.
Did he really? Did he really sign that?
Yes, I saw that post as a picture of a helmet that Brandon Graham had signed, and I said, that is my profile picture. There's no doubt about it. I agree with it 1,000,000,000%. Brandon Graham, you're the man.
You are the man, Vince Quinn. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Such a great guy. Such a great guy. You know, that drive he gave me to that speech I had to give, right? The commencement speech I had to give. I feel bad because they also gave me like a gift pack. And in that gift pack was like a cell phone charger, like a travel cell phone charger and some other things. And I should have given that to Vince. I did give that to Vince. There's also a $300 gift card to Mushalo. I kept that. Should have given it to him. Anyway, Vince, appreciate you, man. Bell and the Birdman podcast. Make sure you guys check that out. We're going to jump right into the chat check. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Mike Fuji. Good morning, April. Good morning, Sean. April, hello again. Mihai, what's up, Mihai? Morning, Mark. I'm a fan of CJGJ and agree. Gannon was terrible, but I don't know if I agree with using social media to voice frustration. It's a job, and Gannon still is a boss. Interesting. Meaning like in the literal sense, not like he a boss. You know what I mean? Got to set an example. I get that, but for whatever reason, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson doesn't seem to. Those rules seem not to apply to him. He seems to do whatever the hell he damn well pleases. Andrew Painter with those corners. Oh, Andrew painting those corners, Mike Fuji. I see what you're doing there. Kevin, good morning. Mally, hello. Oh, puff, pass. Really? Mess up the rotation. April, hello again. Mike Fuji was gone. That was not a ghost. That was my daughter. Definitely Gannon heartbreak in the Eagles hiring decision. Interesting. Mike Fuji, Vince Quinn, hell of a nice guy. You're absolutely right. He is a hell of a nice guy. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Fantastic, as per usual. Oh, and Fuji did give props to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, CD Deuce. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Sixers back at it tonight, 7:30 against the Mavericks in Dallas, or as Tyrese Maxey called it after the game last night, the crib. Back to the crib. And then the Phillies are back at it today against the Boston Red Sox. As I said earlier, that game will be on ESPN for your viewing pleasure. So make sure you guys check that out a little bit later today. Look forward to that. Is today Suarez? Suarez getting the start, PJ? No? No, he's pushed back. Can I put you on? There we go, ladies. There. Ah! What's up, buddy?
It's Falter.
Thank you. Hey, nice to have you back,
Yes,
by the way. Nice to have you back.
See you, pal.
Thank you. Love springing that out of producer, especially PJ when he's so damn lovable. So yeah, Phillies tonight. This afternoon they'll have Falter on the bump today. Sixers back at it. I mentioned that. Do I even bother mentioning the Flyers? Just feels like I shouldn't. They got a couple of days off before hosting the Red Wings, so we'll see what happens with JVR in the not too distant future. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys. Always a pleasure. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. PJ produced the program. It's a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My name is Mark Farzetta. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.